Yes, we
most
are
of
live.
our, yeah, like, good then.
I think now we are live.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. This is the Anazori platform along with Care Northeast Foundation welcoming you for an exciting session on organic farming. How one person's initiative can make such a huge difference in the life of tens and thousands. So welcome to the platform, and today we have Samir Bordoloi.
Yeah.
Namaste. Writing one's name as on the nameplate is not strange, but writing Samir Bordoloi farmer was strange to many, an extraordinary effort by a person who believed or who truly believed in his passion of going local, local people, local food, and local economy. So we welcome Samir on this platform.
Yeah.
But before Samir goes telling his stories, let me give you a few glimpses of his life that maybe will motivate and inspire all of us. Samir, who was working with one of the biggest Indian multinational company, the Tata Group, and on one fine day left his job to do the exactly opposite. He was into promoting chemical fertilizers and pesticides, but when he left the job, he did exactly opposite. He went into organic farming. So that was an extraordinary step that he took, and why he took, probably Samir will tell us much better than I can probably tell. And to believe in what Samir did many years ago, local people, local food, and local economy was extraordinary at that point of time. When today we are all talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat in food and other things, for Samir, it came many, many years ago. Samir pioneered to create the first food forest in Northeast India, a concept probably not known to many of us, including me, with his innovative model of growing local, low volume and high value crops inside the forest. The food forest is at his spread any farm learning center in Sonapur, which is around 25 kilometers from Guwahati. It started in 2017, and till now, he has trained over 426 green commandos. He calls them green commandos on farm learning center. Samir's work has been recognized in the form of many, many awards, and just to name the few national and internal awards like Pragati Puraskar for organic farming in 2016, Indian Council of Agriculture Research and Indian Agriculture Student Associations by them. He was also awarded the best agripreneur of the country in 2017 by MANIS, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Government of India. He was awarded Krisak Ratna in 2018 by Assam Agriculture University. He received the prestigious IARI Innovative Farmer Award in 2019 by Indian Agriculture Research Institute. Samir is also an Ashoka Fellow, for which I have been lucky to associate with for writing reviews. So welcome one more reason, Samir, that I should know and the people should know you. You have authored many books on low-cost ecological farming practices and published in many papers and articles. So to truly believe, Samir seems to be truly believing in Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. And here is one shining example that we should listen to his stories, we should get inspired and do what best we can do. So to start with, Samir, I have few questions that I would like to throw on you, and then you can go ahead. First, what inspired, motivated, or even I can say made you frustrated to leave your job at Tata's and come into organic farming doing just the opposite? That's question number one. The question number two is, what were the key challenges at that time in societies like Assam and Northeast in general? Like, people don't want to leave cushy jobs, and that too of a multinational company. So how did your family, friends, and relatives reacted to it? Because we hear every day, we hear plethora of cases, parents complaining, oh, this such an, stupid thing to do, leaving such a great job and coming and farming, because farming is not romantic, it is not sexy, it is not desirable. So what were the key challenges and how you dealt with it? Please, please enlighten us on the food forest and the agri clinic concepts. This is something very new to India. In my knowledge, probably I don't think many others know about food forest and agri clinics. So how does it work? What facilities are there in such a clinic? And finally, what kind of ecosystem was there when you started organic farming in Assam? And has there been any positive change since you started work, getting inspired from you? Has the government listened to you? Has the society in general has been positive to what you have been doing? So here is the platform, Samir. Welcome, and we look forward to listen to your story.
Yeah.
Thank you, Samir. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjay. First of all, I would like to thank the whole Energery team, Milin and Sanjay, and the whole team for bringing a farmer here to speak in front of people about the journey and the dream of a farmer. So thank you very much. As Sanjay told, I'm very proud to write farmer in front of my name. I feel if a doctor can write DR, if an engineer is so proud to write ER in front of his name, and if a father in the church also writes FR, and the professor is so proud to introduce himself as a professor, I feel why I should be shy because I feed them all. The farmers feed them all. So why we should be shy to call ourselves farmer? So that is the motivation which I thought after moving around in many places in the country, working with the multinational as Sanjay mentioned, and looking at the hunger of the corporate world to be a part of the food industry and a part of and become the main stakeholder of how they can take the whole agribusiness into their hand. I felt that my very simple people of Northeast India, who are so blessed with nature, who are so blessed with nature and who lives with nature, we have the privilege to live a very lazy life now in this fast world because we live so near to nature. So I thought that this is something which we have to cast in our natural wealth, how we convert our bio resources to bio wealth, and how we develop a social enterprise where all the people of Northeast whose risk bearing capacity is very low because they live so close to nature, when we call about business terms, then I thought, why not start a movement? It's not just starting a business or starting an enterprise, but why not start a movement? How we do it? And I think, this is the motivation which came into my mind when I was moving around and working with the farmers after my agricultural degree from the Assam Agricultural University. And I was trying to promote something which my inner self was not telling me to do because as Sanjay told me, I was working with the Tata Chemicals in the Release India Limited division, and my work was to promote their chemicals and do our research and development of their products in the tea gardens of Assam, in whole Upper Assam tea garden. And every time when we did the monthly meetings, there will be a new chemical coming in. Okay, we are selling this product, but next it will be more stronger chemical coming to the same insect which we want to kill. So I saw the hunger and I saw the preparedness of the corporate world to take control of everything from the seeds to the feeds, and how they cannot eliminate the small farmers but make the small farmers dependent on them, dependent on everything they need in the value chain is provided by them. So the business, the industrial farming model. And I thought I was a part of that. So I suddenly one day I was doing a I achieved so much of good accolades in the Tata Chemicals in that place also. So I was selected for a higher level program, and we stayed in Banaras. So I was in Banaras, staying in the very beautiful Taj Ganges, and we were doing some restructuring model. They were doing some restructuring of their employees to deal with their emotions and everything, and it was a restructuring model of the whole company. And then I came into one concept which Tata started called the Tata Kisan Center, where they were promoting their all kind of inputs by making some outlets in the village where there will be an agricultural graduate as an employee, and he will promote them in front of the farmers, and they start writing prescription of their products. So that something triggered me, and I thought, and something inside was killing me, ki why I am promoting so much of chemicals in my tea growers area in Assam. Because most of our Upper Assam villages, I find they have become cocktails of chemicals. If you look at the small tea segment, when they use chemicals and fertilizers, it is like not one big garden how they are making it. It's the whole village. How hundreds of small tea growers today might be using 50 different types of fungicides and pesticides and weedicides. So that becomes a cocktail of chemical. I was very worried about when I went to the village. I was worried about looking at the small children playing at the homestead gardens, and their homestead gardens were transformed into something called the monocrop of tea, and they were using so much of chemicals inside that also. The drinking water sources, when I was working with the tea garden areas and the tea garden communities in Tinsukia, Dibrugarh, with many people who were dedicated to the movement of bringing green revolution in Northeast. So when we were working with a group of young people there in Dibrugarh, Tinsukia, I found all the drinking water sources were like unprotected wells, and near that we are spraying so much of chemicals and fungicides and weedicides there, which pollutes the water with the rainfall. So that is something which triggered me, and I thought, this is something where I have to change. So uh, so what I did is I motivated by the Kisan Center model. So I thought, when a human being has a doctor, and when a pet animal like the dog also has a veterinary doctor, why not our plants have doctors, so that we who have studied agriculture becomes a plant doctor. So that is some wild kind of dream came, and suddenly my hometown Jorhat. So I after that I felt like I have to leave the job because I was not justifying, and my inner self, I was not making myself satisfied with that. So I had the guts to leave the job. I don't know where from it came, and one fine day I resigned my job. My wife was very supportive with me because she was working with the Assam Agriculture University in a scheme there. Then she thought, okay, if you want to go with your dreams, you go with, and I'm there to support for the initial time. So I left the job, and one fine day when I was going to bring some vegetables from the market, near the now we have the ISBT bus stand in Jorat. Near that, I saw a shop being created, a construction of a shop going on. So then suddenly it came to my head, okay, this will be my clinic, the plant health clinic. And I went to the owner and I asked, can I take this on rent? So I took that building on rent, and then I made a brought a table and chair. I had a microscope of my college days. I put the microscope, I put all the disease specimens of different kind of diseases and insects, and I put the photographs downloaded from the internet. And I started a plant. I just wrote it SS Botanicals. I don't know where from the name also came Botanicals, because might be inside me. I was thinking about there are so many local solutions in our environment, but we are not looking at that, and we are buying very high cost and very toxic chemicals to get rid of the all kind of insects and diseases on the plants. So I named it SS Botanicals. Samir is my name, Sanjeev is my brother's name. So I put it SS, and we started as SS Botanicals, and I called it Plant Health Clinic. And I started sitting in the clinic from 6:30 in the morning, because I thought that will be, and ISBT that time was not made, so that was more accessible for the farmers. Farmers, you don't from those vegetables belt of Jorhat called Eling Mora, so it was accessible. So I started sitting there 6:30 from the morning, and for like around 3-4 months, I didn't have any kind of visit to my clinic asking me some help कि okay मेरे plant में क्या हो गया मोर गॉसिपत की होइसे कि बता এখন prescription दियो या write a prescription my I didn't get a person coming. Then I was somewhat thinking whether it will work or not work. I get many professors, many like chemical company executives visiting there, and they were thinking about okay, Why not use this guy who is an agricultural graduate to promote their products? They were coming and luring me with, okay, we will sponsor your meeting, we will give you this, we will give you dealership of this, we were giving this, so you can write a prescription about our crops. But I didn't go to that. But I had a bike with me that time, a motorcycle. I took the motorcycle and I took a backpack and I started visiting the farms, like where tea was not practiced, but the vegetable farming was coming up. And there were lots of chemicals being used on the vegetables because all like too much of farmers who were very much into the industrial farming from lower Assam side, they came and they started staying in the villages, and they were teaching our very simple youths of our villages of Upper Assam how to grow food with those chemicals and those hybrid seeds. So I took the motorcycle and I started jumping into farmers' field. And if they don't ask, also I tell them, why don't you try this? There is a fungus called Trichoderma viride, which can take care of your. That was all from my agricultural book knowledge. One, I was promoting organic farming. For one reason is that I was too much of chemicals was there with the Tata, so I was coming out of that. Another was organic was also helping me as an entrepreneur to establish myself because that needed some concept sale. And there my agriculture degree was coming into picture and I was getting some mobility in the market, right? One agriculture guy trying to promote organic farming. Some very dedicated professors and Department of Agriculture officers were coming forward to help, and they were asking me, go to this farmer, go to that farmer. So I was getting a mileage because of my agriculture degree and the need of the concept selling that time on organic farming. But my concept was into only how to sell again high cost organic inputs like the rhizobium, trichoderma, pseudomonas, those kind of all fungus and biopesticide and bioinsecticides produced by again corporate world. So one fine day, my turning point was one fine day, one lady with her volunteers came to my clinic. She was traveling by and she spotted out near the bus stand a clinic called Plant Health Clinic. And she dropped in and she was a foreign lady and she came to my clinic and she was asking, we were very much eager to know what is this Plant Health Clinic and what you do. That was Madam Peggy Cuswell and her volunteers who dropped in and she I told her about my works and she told me, okay, next 2 days I'm in Jorhat and I want to visit some farmers where you are working to promote organic farm. So I took her to my villages. We took her to Majuli Island and I was working with some garlic production, local garlic production of or how we organically do it in Majuli. While returning back, Madam asked me, Ki, Samir, why don't we sit there on the roof of the ferry? Like the ferries that we have, they have got this tin roof. And we climbed up and we sat there. And Madam told me, Samir, why you are going for some organic kind of farming where you are asking again your farmers to buy very high cost inputs so that their products are very high cost? And why don't you look at the nature? She told me, I remember today also, she told me, look at your bamboo plants. They are like dark color, dark light, the temperature, the whole atmosphere. Just you can put some cow dung and mix some jaggery and in an earthen pot and put it inside there, and you get all the beneficial fungus you are asking the farmers to buy at high cost. You can get it there. That is a good laboratory than your university laboratory. Nature has given us. Why don't you look at the natural thing? That is something which triggered me, and that 1.5 hour journey was the u-turn of my life, looking at organic farming, which I now call as ecological farming practices. And from that day onwards, I experimented with all the resources our farmers have and how we grow with the resources and how we not make the farmers buy costly things from the corporate, and how we keep the seeds and we do it local. So my concept of local people, local food, local economy came. In this whole more than 12 years of journey of doing this, I have come up with lots. There is a process of unlearning. Sanjay, what I went through is a process of unlearning. Unlearning my agricultural books, unlearning my university way of showing me how like agriculture should be, the whole industrial model of farming, the outlook of the agricultural universities or the research institutes, where they were more dependent on how they can accommodate more and more corporations to bring us all seeds to the fields. That is how. So I thought I passed out from an university where the scholarship is being given by Bayer and the Monsantos to the students. So there will be a red carpet welcome for the whole industry to be incorporated into the mindset of the people, and they have to go inside the mind of the farmers like that. Now, if you go to a farmer and say, okay, this pesticide is not good for you, he will not obey you. He will not like you because it has been given into the bloods through the education system. So what I thought is, no, there has to be a movement. There has to be a movement. And when I was working with my agri clinic, it will be a long story. So I met lots of young people in the villages, in the rural areas of Assam. And my way of farming was like going to the village, staying in the village. And I started learning agriculture. My whole years of my university learning, I didn't know how to put a spade on the soil. But when I was in the village and I was learning from the villagers, I know how to plow. I know how to plant, the practical aspect of all the things. And I found so beautiful traditional knowledge, wisdom when you talk about agriculture. And I started recording those indigenous technical know-hows and tried to make it into a product, how we take it forward and how we make this concept going on for local people, local food and local economy. Your other part of the question is how, like, yeah, so entrepreneurship or to become a farmer, leaving a job. Nobody can imagine that when I talk about the parents. Even now, when I have 426 Green Commandos, the biggest battle we play is with the mindset of the parents because lots of young people now also come and they tell me we want to be doing something which is good for the nature. We want to grow with nature. We want to take nature as capital and grow with that. But when I come to my parents and tell them that I don't want a job and I just want to be a farmer, no parents accept that. They are more into like how you pass the Assam Public Service Commission exam or the Nagaland Public Service Commission exam. White collar jobs are that what the parents dream about. So it's a very big ask. Even for me, it was like that when I started my plant health clinic. I saw Madam Piggy joining the meeting, and I was talking about you, Madam, how you inspired me by dropping into the plant health clinic, and
Yeah.
and the whole my concept was changed. So at that time when I started my plant health clinic, even my parents who were the first, like I'm the first generation entrepreneur or the agripreneur of my family. My parents were serving very nice in the government of Arunachal Pradesh. So my childhood was in Tawang in the beautiful mountains. I think my connect to nature is also one motivation you were asking is my childhood in that snow peak mountains of Tawang and my connection to the apple farms of Dirang and Bomdila and those beautiful farmers. So my parents were into service. My mother was a teacher, and for them also it was very difficult how you are living a job and you got married. That in the universities we got engaged and we got married, and after getting married and after having a child, you are thinking about leaving your job and you have resigned the job and now you are trying something which is called a plant health clinic. So they were like, it is not digestible for any parents now in this state of mind. I think, Sanjay, if I ask you about your children also, you will never dream to make your children into a farmer. So that is something which the stereotyping mindset has gone. So I thought we have to work on that and how we sensitize people about doing this. So uh, giving glamorization to farming was important to bring in the young people. So how I glamorize farming, that was one of my thoughts. So this agri clinic is something where we are asking them to become plant doctors, and how you give natural remedies to that. Then in Dibrugarh, when I started working with that college, and we had a 4 bigha land in the college, and we started a farm there. Uh, I and one of my friend who was very dedicated to the cause of bringing green revolution in Assam, we just made a bamboo hut in the college campus, and we made bamboo beds, and we started sleeping there, and we started living there, and we started working in the farm. So what we look at is all the rural children come there to the college, but for around 10-15 days there were nobody who was coming to look at what we are doing. They thought there are some laborers being hired by the principal and they are doing some farming activities. But what we did is we started bringing in people, bringing in more youths, and they were volunteering. Peggy madam came to my help again, and she brought some volunteers, and madam and Kel also came, and we started working together in the farm. And when those students, they saw that people from outside, people from different spheres of the life, they're coming and they're supporting something which the guys are doing inside the college. So they started coming up, and we started a course there. Okay, 1 hour we are going to teach you how to grow organic food. So that is what we did, and we found lots of people were motivated. There was some seed where my head it was sown that okay, if we glamorize the farming, if we work with the jeans and the hats and everything, and then we put the gumboots and the boots and we walk there. So I think that is something where we attract the young people's attention. It's very important to create stylish farmers. It's very important to create stylish farmers. मैं वो जो farmer का जो dress है उसको I regard that. I regard that the traditional dress of the farmer. But we cannot be a farmer with a patawa dhoti and a half pant. We cannot be a farmer with a half pant and a banyan and work in the sun because our children are looking at us. And we are a part of the biggest food industry. We are the main stakeholders of the biggest food industry, and we have to make them feel that. We have to make them realize that you are feeding the world. So you are the main part of the society. You don't have to feel bad your distress condition in the farm families, your distress condition because your father is working so hard in the sun, but he's not earning money because is of the conspiracy that is behind the food, the conspiracy of the corporates to take everything into their control. That is because of that. That is not because of the farming. If you go traditional, if you go at the growing the local food wisdom, I think Sanjay, we can make profit, we can make low cost farming methods, and we can earn money out of that and our livelihood, and also sustain many people and make the farming into a stylish profession. That is one of my key area where I'm working on now. So I
Brilliant.
named them green. So I named them Green Commandos, and Green Commandos because I found Northeast our youths are warriors. They are very good in taking something like challenge. If you look at the football field, they are very strong. If you look at the defense, they are very strong. If you look at martial arts, very strong. Everywhere. They when I go to schools, I work with lots of schools. And when I ask the children, what is your dream to be? They will say, okay, I'll join the Assam Rifles. I'll join the CRPF. I'll join as a police. If they don't get it, they'll end up becoming security guards with that blue color shirt. They get an uniform and they get a security guard job in the cities. They go for that also. And if they don't get it also, they go to the jungle and take a gun. So just think about the dedication. I thought if a guy can be trained in the forest to tie a bomb to him and blast for a cause, why not we can make farmers by keeping them like that and making a food forest and a camp. And the same way now I have made the Sonapur Spredeni Farm Learning Center into a base camp where we do the breeding of the Green Commandos. We train them like the army officers because farming needs discipline from the morning till evening. There is discipline. There is a structured way of doing this. There is so much of fun in that. There is so much of like our kids are into a stage of nature deficiency syndrome. They're into the concretes. They're closed up. So how they come up? How when they come for the farm camping, I find lots of urban kids come to our farm camping now, and they say this 3 days we have a 3 days module of first level Green Commando training. We call it Farm for Soul camping. We look at the soul also. I put them inside the forest for 1 hour at night to just realize them way from you have started your journey. And how, because when I talk about organic or I talk about ecological farming, or I talk about my religion as a farmer to give you good food, Sanjay, I have to think about my soul. So I'm looking at how we change it. So we make them understand. Look at your soul when you're thinking about you want to change somebody, or you want to change the whole system of food, which is coming to us. So that is how this all started, and I ended up doing this. And you were asking about the food forest concept. This is something where we go. I think I can share you some slides of how we do it, so that will be more good. Is it okay, Sanjay?
Please go ahead. The
Okay.
screen share right is with you.
Yeah. So I'll just go with some of my slides and share you what kind of work we do. Uh, is it visible?
It is coming.
Okay.
Yes, it is here.
Okay. Wait. Uh, when I'm sharing, it's not coming onto my screen. Okay, I can put it
Yeah,
like
it
this.
suddenly went black.
Yeah.
It
So
is back. It is back.
yeah, now
We can
this.
see that.
Yeah. Okay. This is what we do in Spread NA Farm Learning Center. This is a social enterprise which we have created with all the young people being the members of that, how we take it forward. So we have created this Spread NA Farm Learning Center, and we call it an edible food forest, where we try the make the biosphere teach the kids. It's not like a very high-tech training center or something, or it's not like an incubation center like the universities are making now. It's more natural, how they stay, how they adapt to the nature, and how they do campings in the farm and they learn. So we are trying to give them all the ecological farming skills, and how do we develop the entrepreneurial skills on that. I told you my whole mantra of growing now is both our economic jump and now healthy living. After COVID, it's also thinking about how we live healthy. The mantra we follow is local people, local food, and local economy. How we grow with this, how the region is signing with all the local things. Thanks to the Prime Minister talking about vocal for local, and that is making many of the researchers and many of the other policymakers who were not talking to me earlier about these things. You don't promote this. This is a negative development. You don't promote something which is not produced. Now, with the voice of the Prime Minister, I would like to thank him, salute him, that now the voice of the researchers has also changed. The voice of the policymakers have also changed. Okay, now we have to look to the local. Even the consumers, they are calling me now. This whole day, I used to get lots of calls asking about what to eat, what are the things. So the local food is something which we have to look forward for our goodness. So this is something we think. And I believe as a farmer, our local seeds are our freedom. So if I lose my seeds, I lose my freedom. So it's very important that these seeds are our food, and this food is everything for us. This is life for us. This here only my nutrition is there. Here only my immunity building food is there. Here only my livelihood is there. Livelihood is there because my local seed and the local crops gives me an international identity. The scented rice of Assam, the black rice of Manipur, the black pepper of Garo Hills, the Lakadam turmeric of Meghalaya, the Bhut Jolokia and the King chili and the Naga chili of the Northeast. So these are our identity. The Indian coffee plum, the poniol of Assam is the identity. So this is what we have to grow with. And this local seeds, they give me everything, the full package. So if I lose this, I lose my whole concept to somebody where I have to buy everything from the seeds to the fields. And that is the conspiracy behind the food. Where this corporatized world, they know they cannot eliminate all the small farmers and the marginal farmers and the tribal farmers. But what they can do is they can make them dependent on a technology where we buy everything from them. And they have the whole mechanism from the policymakers to the research. I told you, agricultural university scholarship is given by the Bayers and the Monsanto. Recently, I was invited for a national award, which I refused because when I reached there, I saw it was the whole ceremony was sponsored by Monsanto. So these are all many double standards which are there. So we as a farmer, now I'm a freelance. I'm a farmer. I put my hand on dirt and I grow my own food. I live my own sustainable livelihood, not dependent on anybody. So my model is whole sustainable. So I'm a freelance. So I know that my freedom is on my seeds. But if I'm a farmer who run for subsidies, who run for some kind of help from the government or some organizations, then they very nicely put me into something in the name of quantity. It was a time when we need quantity, but what we need today is quality, and everybody is concerned about that. And when it comes to quality, quality in the sense of food, quality in the sense of our livelihood, quality in the sense of our well-being, quality in the sense of the whole environment and the all stakeholders, the whole biota. So it lies on the local seeds we grow. So what we do is we know that we have to grow with our local seeds. I'm showing this picture to just show you how green is our region, how green is our Northeast. And our Northeast is the hub of the biodiversity. It's the biodiversity of all the local crops, all the nutraceutical plants, which are the future wellness food industry products, not future, the present wellness food industry products. The wellness food industry market is like going up like anything. So all the herbs, all the low volume and high value crops, God knows that God has put us in this corner of the country, but God has given us so much low volume and high value crops which we can easily dry in our bamboo mat. Our women can do it, and we can make it into a very good product. I'll give you some examples of some products which my farmers and my farm women make, where it is low volume and high value crops, and they can be given to whole country, whole world as a good food. So we are the powerhouse of that. We are the powerhouse of good air. We are the powerhouse of good water. We are the powerhouse of all the natural resources. We are the powerhouse of so many species of local animals. Like the climate change now for all the meat eaters, it is becoming a big problem of the resistance of antibiotics in the animals. So how much of antibiotics are put into the animals? So it is a problem like the climate change for a farmer like me. I know how much of cost it is coming for a farmer to rear those exotic breeds of animals they bring. So we have so much of small animals, so beautiful animals, so good, tasty crops and food items. So we have to look at how this region becomes the pioneer to lead the good food that the humanity has become. So what we do is we grow healthy healing food. I call it healthy healing food because whatever food we grow, and my green commandos and my more than 10,000 farmers working with me grow now, is something which is uh, medicinal and also which is nutritional. So they are the healthy healing food. And and as farmer, my religion is to grow good food for you. And this is the concept of food forest which I'm talking about. So we grow food forest through the ecological farming practices. If you look at my picture, if you look at my picture, it is a jungle of food items. I am sitting on the sweet potatoes, and if you look at my cursor, this looks like turmeric, but this is the mango flavored ginger of Northeast. These are the yams. We have so many varieties of yams which gives us nutrition, iron deficiency support. To also, so some of this has got perfume in the roots to give us very good livelihood. So nature has given the pumpkins flowering here. So there is no unwanted plants. I don't believe on weeds. What we do is in the food forest is we grow everything together. We don't pamper our food crops. You have to pamper your food crops if you are buying a hybrid or a genetically modified seed. You don't need to pamper your local crops. They grow very nicely in the forest. They grow in the natural system. That's how we just have to mix the seeds and throw. We just have to plant them, mix them, and we grow them. We keep them in the forest and they grow like this. And when we get the food, that is a very good quality food, and forest food is in high demand now in the market. So they are value added also. So this way we create the food forest, which we have created now in Sonapur. We have in 34 bighas of land. We have created this food forest and the learning center. And now everybody, even farmers from other part of the country is also coming and looking at this model, how we go with that, how we grow with that. We have got a very good network of now people coming together and looking at how this food forest can be promoted. There is no competition. Only we do some time to time training program. We have started a online program also in our Spread Any Facebook page, where and we do not webinars but also training programs, hands-on training programs live, how to create this food forest, and we are making them. Now my online green commandos, I call them online green apostles because they are spreading the message. They're spreading the message to the consumers and the people. And we recently completed a 5 days training program. On 23rd to 25th, we have the second edition of 3 day training program, which is online, where we demonstrate how to create, you learn, and we give you some assignment also how on your rooftop, how on your small piece of land, you can create your food forest. And this, when we talk about Northeast, I feel we have to grow with our strength, and we do that. We grow with our beautiful environment. We grow with our lovely people, the human resource. You look, see, many people, we think that we are the people who has to go to the village and change the mindset of the people and develop them. I lots of students come to intern with me from different social, even Tata Institute of Social Science, or social workers, or like MBAs. They come and work with me. I ask them, how can you change some people who are so much contented with nature? They're living a very beautiful life. Still, they have got a time to take a very good afternoon nap. Still, they can play whole day carom board or football, and they can eat a one full plate of rice, which is sticky and very natural. Still, they have got, the mothers have got the power to go to the wild and bring out all the herbs and give us the most good food. So who are we living in the concretes to change them? They are somebody to change us. So we have to look at, so this beautiful human resource which we have, this traditional knowledge we have, the traditional food wisdom we have, the traditional varieties of crops which we have, that is something which we have to look forward and grow on that. Our rich culture and heritage is something, because agriculture is two words, agri plus culture. Agri means soil, and culture, we culture the soil, that is the scientific, but I put it like soil and culture of the region makes it together our beautiful village. And when we remove our young people from this farming, giving them some very high cost dependent technology on the corporate farming techniques, from the tractors to the power tillers to all kinds of hybrid seeds to the drip irrigation system, we make it very costly. We make them indebted. We make the banks flourish. We kill the farmers. So how we make them more dependent on our cultural heritage? So if the youth goes back, if the youth of Nagaland, if youth of Manipur, youth of Assam goes out of here and stays in Bangalore, the culture of our village disintegrates, and the village as a whole collapses. So now we are looking at now, but if you look at the reverse migration, or looking at the people living in different cities, they want to come back and they tell me, I'm ready to pay you money to stay in that calmness of your village where it is, where nature is there. So now the world is in a U-turn. So we have to realize that is our strength. Everything I have listed out here. So the pure air, I'll just give you a very interesting story. I was a speaker in the World Organic Congress in 2017. And when I was giving my presentation and I was showing my slides of how we work with the children and the youths of Northeast on maintaining the nature, then somebody asked me what the youths are doing in the jungle moving. I had a slide of kids moving around in my food forest. So what the kids are doing there. So I told them that there is oxytourism. In Delhi, that time it was too much of pollution. So I told them, why don't you come to the villages of Northeast, breathe in fresh air. You don't have to go to a parlor to get the oxygen. You come to Northeast, stay in our villages. You are invited to come and write books, write poems, because you can do that. The calmness, you're in a so fast life, come and refresh yourself, come to the Northeast villages. And that is called agro-tourism. That is called farm tourism, which we do. And next year, we have more than 15 families coming to our farm called for oxytourism. And the amount of money they were paying was 500 to 1,000 rupees for a night to our farmers, where we put them to stay there raw with the farmers, raw nature, no change, adapt to the lifestyle. So that is something which is the hospitable nature of our people. If you come to a Northeast village or in India as a whole, we have got this character of like, we are obsessed to make people eat. Many people, even Peggy Madam has got that idea. We take volunteers coming and we move around in the villages. And they will be asking us why people are obsessed to make us eat. So that is the hospitality. They want to treat the guest. That is, and you have such a beautiful nature to treat the guest. You have such a beautiful water and air to treat the guest. So use that. That is something, a vehicle where we are looking at how we create into a social enterprise, dealing by adding service to farming. Only farming is not profitable. You have to add service to the farming. For example, in our Spread Any Farm Learning Center in our food forest, we have got a cow shed cafe. We have made an old cow shed into a cafe. So there is a service. There is a service added which serves traditional food. Young people, you have to make them to stylish farmers. So we call them green commandos. And you will find more urban youths now with nature deficit syndrome in the concreted world. They love more to become green commandos. So the rural youths, the urban youths, that is we make them come together and work together. And they lead a very stylish farming operation and they lead a social entrepreneurship. So it has to be stylish. Even your dows and kurpis and everything, the spades. So you have to add glamour to them. You have to add, and you can do it when you talk about nature, because I find the young generation to be in a molting stage like the snake where they're changing their skin. So they're very much open to this way of farming where you talk about the environment and you talk about the climate friendly approach and you talk about wellness food products, you talk about healthy living. They are there. So we do that. I have a program called Attracting Students to Agripreneurship, where we attract students to agripreneurship and do those things. And I call it ASAP. As soon as possible, we have to do it. Because it's the education system. When my kid goes to the school in the KG class or the kindergarten school, so the food chart he or she has been shown doesn't have a local food. That is the conspiracy starts, where the mindset of the kid is made to a celery, not to a laipatta, not to a mustard leaf, which is local, where I have got the right to keep my seeds. But the kid's mind is C for cabbage, but cabbage is not local to me. I cannot keep the cabbage seed for the next year. That is something exotic which has been pumped into me. And the food and the schools and the education system is doing that. They are sensitizing the all corporate foods. They're not sensitizing the local food wisdom. So we have to do it in the schools. So I have the school program where we make the students in an activity-based learning model. We create the green commandos, I told you, and every green commandos has got the responsibility to adopt a school and pass on this, whatever they have learned to grow the food forest to the school children in his community or in his neighborhood. So they adopt the school and we make them learn how to make bioresources into biowealth like composting, vermicomposting. When I talk about vermicomposting, it doesn't mean that you have to bring a very exotic, costly worms. It is like all the nature has given us the local worms. How you can bring your termite hill soil and put it into the water to supplement more protein to the plant, not buying again some protein mix from somewhere, or you are not going for the gram flour also because our farmers don't grow gram here. So whatever local resources you have, so your farming has to be in that farm area only. You don't have to go out of the farm to think about how to take care of an insect or how to grow your food. How you think out of the box. So this is a thinking skill for the kids also. Life skills, the patience, love, compassion they develop while growing their own food. The nutritional stewardship, when they harvest their local food and when they eat it in their midday meal or eat it in their hostel, the delight of eating their own food, that is gratitude. So that life skills, so all the life skills we put in there. From the kids we move into the mothers and we create this homestead food forest. We call it nutrition to livelihood. We have a program in Assamese we call Amar Bari Amar Porisoy. Our homestead gardens are our identity. So how we create this is a 3-tier model which I have devised, where we have in the base we have zero tillage raised beds, and then in the center we have the basket farming, bamboo basket farming with the herbs, and at the top we have the mat. And to my surprise, all the local food crops which God has given us, most of them are shade-loving crops. So if the bamboo mat is full of bottle gourd or cucumber, the light doesn't matter. My mustard leaf, my king chili, my every kind of my Brahmis and all, Centellia asiatica, They grow much better in the shade. So this is our food. Whoever is listening to me, we have to think about. Ask, just think about your granny's recipe. Think about all the ingredients of your granny's recipe. Think about your local food wisdom which you tried at your home. It's not feeding the kid with Nestle Cerelac. We have to think about how we feed our kids with something which is very natural. Might be the natural bananas of Northeast, might be the rice powder. And think about when we opt for a burger, do our farmers in the Northeast grow wheat? Is single kg of wheat grown in our Northeast? So we have to think about, okay, how we can use rice flour into something, how we make roti out of rice flour. Think about that. Researchers, whoever is listening to me, think about that. How we develop our local food wisdom and we grow with that. And how we make our money revolve in the region so that we grow into a social enterprise. Social enterprise because our risk bearing capacity, I told you, is very less. So we have to club together. Every green commando, they go through the schools and they adopt the mothers, then they go to the farmers, adopt a village communities, they make community food forests, they make now for example in Sonapur area now we are doing 100 food forests with the women groups in the peri-urban area of Guwahati, where we are involving all the Karbi women, Karbi tribe women on growing their homestead into food forest of the nutraceuticals. So then our green commandos have a program which is called Farm Connect. We have the urban green commandos who go to the flats, who go to the colonies, who motivates people to make them eat good food. They share the story of their beautiful farmers or the rural green commandos, and those stories sales, the good food sales, and they connect. They ask the consumers to adopt a farmer for their food. So this is now, we have recently started in Guwahati. Our Green Commandos have a store now in the Assam Agriculture University has given us a place in this outlet called AU Fresh, where our Green Commandos link all the local products of our farmers to the consumers in the city. So we are going, so it's, when I talk about the Green Commandos, they are social agripreneurs. They are the link between the consumers and the farmers, but they are some middleman who has got the engineering of a army man or a person who is ready to tie a bomb and blast for a cause. So they know that if they get 20 rupees in the market, they have to take 5 rupees and give 15 rupees to the farmers. They reverse the concept of the middleman where they take 15 rupees and give only 5 rupees to the farmers. So we do it very nicely through a system and we take it to the market. So Sanjay, I'll come and I will come back to this my statement that the happiness index lies in the green villages of
Sure.
our northeast, green villages of our northeast. Whenever we go there, Enajori, Spread Any, government, any kind of organization, when you go to the village, just think about they are more happy than us living with the nature. So we have to calculate the circumference of development we want to make them so that we don't create needs into grids. We don't have to create needs into grids of our very hospitable and very learned and very contented people with nature. Many times, lots of officials in the government and the policymakers, they ask me, we give so much of subsidies and so much of schemes to the farmer. Why the farmers of Northeast don't take it? Why they don't take it? Why they are only dependent on subsidies? Only when you give subsidies they take it. My dear friends, they don't need it. They are happy as they are. We have to relook at our lifestyle. Are we happy? Are we scared of eating what we are eating? Are we scared of breathing in what we are breathing in? Are we scared of the relationship between us and our kids in the concreted world? So if it is that, think about how you connect to nature, adopt a farmer, help Enajori and everybody involved here, even us, to connect you to the nature of Northeast, connect you how farmers can think about take nature as capital and go ahead. So welcome to the Spread Any Farm Learning Center. We don't have any fund, or so we created it self-sustaining. Every youth that join us as a Green Commando, we have a fees for that. We are not sponsored by any skill development ministry. Skill development ministry tried and came to me and told me, okay, why don't you make Green Commando? We will make you hostels and buildings. I said, I will be landing up writing only utilization certificates and reports and posting pictures. I have to compromise on my principles. People pay me 3,600 rupees for 3 days camping. They pay it from their pocket. And those are the people who come actually who they want to learn. But if you sponsor 30, I will get lots of yawning people sitting in the meeting and thinking about when the training is over. So if we have to have dedicated workers, we have to be self-sustaining. So we do a self-sustaining model. This is a very simple bamboo-made classroom where we learn, and we learn practically in the food forest. We have a camp area. We have tents where we can accommodate 15 girls and 15 boys, 30 people we can accommodate. We live in the tents from morning 5:30 to we don't know what time at night, but the Green Commandos are working. At night, we used to have looking at our soul. We have learning circle practitioners with us who listen to everybody. I told you I put them in the forest. I put them to adapt to all kind of hardship which they haven't found, because we grow our child so nicely that we don't make them adapt to the nature. So this 3 days we try to adapt them and reconnect to their biophilic nature. So thank you, Sanjay. This is something which I wanted to share so that you know what actually we are working, and I'm open to the questions now.
Thank you, sir. That has been truly inspiring. I mean, I just want the lockdown to get over so that I can come and see for real.
Yeah,
Both
you're
you as a
welcome.
person. There are some questions,
Okay.
and this is from Rekon Rashid, and he says, in this part of Assam, conventional model of farming is following, and it is completely loss-making venture. I participated here. If I could get back, how we can make them out for a technically advanced, profitable model?
Okay. That's a very, very nice question, and that is the realization of me as a farmer also. If we are following the conventional farming, we are into the we are being made scapegoats to the conspiracy of making us dependent from seeds to feeds to the high cost industrial farming system. So what we have is it's very good realization that you have realized that that is not making profit. So we have to look at how our local crops give more profit. For your training, for us, we provide the Green Commandos Farm for Soul camping. For the situation, we are not doing it. Every month, we do 2 campings of 3 days time. So it's only Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday is something which you have to take leave. If you are working somewhere, but Saturday, Sunday is the weekend which we spend in the farm and make them into Green Commandos. And another way, what we are doing is now we have started this 3 days training program on online, how we can demonstrate you and uh, how we can help you to make an immunity food forest at your home. So that is we provide online, and there are lots of organizations also who are involved in that. You can get connected to them also for your more training on this. I welcome you to spread any for more further training. Another thing is that when you compare the conventional and this local thing, so really there's a go ahead in the local things, because I told you that gives us a market identity and also a value addition. Local itself is a value added product. So that is something which gives a very good market linkage, also market demand also, and that's how we can take it to the market. So I think, yeah, we welcome you to spread notice for more training on that.
Audience, the floor is open to ask questions from Rajiv. It's such an exciting story to get inspired. And Peggy, please throw some more lights since you both have worked together, and it's so good to see you.
Yeah. Yeah,
So Sami,
I'm blessed to have you, ma'am.
Hello.
Friends, can you help unmute Peggy? Yeah, Peggy, go ahead.
Here we go. Yeah, I guess I just want to let you all know that the struggles and the work that's being done right now in Assam is very similar to what we're doing here in Canada, because Canada is dependent on food imports from the United States, from Mexico, from Hawaii, places as far away as Hawaii. And young people are really disconnected, have been really disconnected from their agricultural roots. They're parallel stories. And I think our green revolution, so to speak, started a little earlier than the one that is now underway in Assam. But many of the same issues are here. We now, with some of the great people in our area here, like Arzina Hamir, Arzina has set up school gardens. We have community organizations that are promoting local agriculture, and there are lots of really neat initiatives that are happening. I hope that as well as doing Zoom programs like this, as I was listening tonight, Samir, I was really thinking about how helpful it would be to have some videos produced that could be distributed around the Northeast, not just Assam, that highlight the experiences and the words. I mean, the Green Revolution video the Green Commandos video that was produced is wonderful. And it'd be great to expand that, get it out more often, more places. I don't know whether the Doordarshan or any of the other networks have shown your video and whether they'd be willing to show your video, but getting it out, through social media and particularly through the television network might be something to consider. Is it something that you've tried or you have had some success with?
Yeah. Yeah, ma'am. We have been doing this. So we are more doing it in the social media because mainstream media, like we wanted to also go underground, like when I was preparing the Green Commandos, so that okay, if we prepare, we had this experience of we make the farmers learn something, and when they get good practitioners, so all kind of, when it is more focused, all kinds of policies come and support, and they sometimes pollute it again. So we went down, so we didn't go to the main media too much, but yeah, there are some publications from the national media. Lots of our stories has been covered, but we are using Facebook and other social media to create a very good network of green. Like for example, now my Green Apostles program, we have a special Facebook group now of keeping them together. Like it's not only training and giving them the certificate, but how we create a green tribe. My dream is to create a green tribe of Northeast, and how we keep them together. And we are using social media on that. And I still have your videos from which you gave me, and I still play it in the villages. We take the projector which you gifted me, and I play videos of all those chemicals and everything, how we have to make the transit. I still have that, and that's a very strong medium which you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also think about now the mainstream media is also have to think about how they come in to focus something which is very natural and which is the strength of the Northeast, rather than showing a farmer who is growing a big land of dragon fruit. It's better to focus a farmer who is growing a very local fruit and he is taking it to the market. I think they have got that response. Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ask in Hindi में पूछिए, Assamese में पूछिए, English में पूछिए. But
hello.
Yeah.
Samir sir. Hello.
Hi.
মই ৰাজীৱে কৈছিলো এই আমাৰ কাছাৰ ডিষ্ট্ৰিক্ট অসমৰ পৰা মানে মোৰ মানে I was not my family is from farming family. My father is a farmer,
Okay.
but I just recently got interested in farming. I worked in corporate in telecom industry for 7 years, and then came to Northeast, started this Tamil plates. From 2014 till 2020, and this lockdown we were like almost like shutting down the industry because the market is not available. Maybe it will start back.
Uh-huh.
But during this period, I have seen like the farmings here normally depend on this rice cultivation.
Hmm.
And I would like to show a situation of my village now that,
Hmm. Flood.
that
It's flood,
it's
right?
mostly
It's flood.
covered by plain area, flooded.
Uh-huh.
It's completely. I
Yeah.
think you can say, and most part of Assam, it's like almost like 40% of
I,
land is like this
I think
village.
Rajiv, your
Ra-
voice is breaking down. Yeah.
Uh, mostly, Assam is like 40 to 50% of the land area is covered like this. It's
Yeah.
a plain area,
Hmm.
and we like the video snaps you have shown is like for the like hill stations that we
Hmm.
could go this type of forest farming like concept.
Hmm. Hmm.
If you could suggest like for this type of land,
Hmm.
uh, if we are depending on rice cultivation,
Hmm.
what we have seen, like if you calculate in the normal way without using any kind of like fertilizers and all in this land,
Hmm.
still like we were losing per biga around 400 to 500 rupees at the minimum. Even
Hmm.
we are involving our own resources also, like
I know. I
uh,
know. I know. Yeah.
so this in this kind like how we could like the uh, planting rice planting is a biggest cost involvement, and rice cutting is also a biggest cost in the involvement in this industry. Like we can call like industry because rice cultivation is the most commonly used cultivation in this part of
So,
Assam.
so, 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 I think Rajiv, you want to ask me how rice-based this kind of concept can be developed and how you take it into profitable way, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, what I'll tell you is, see, first thing we have to depend on our local rice varieties. I'll just give you an example. I have my green commandos in Borhola area of Titawar, if you know, right? And that is a rice ball, also like plain area like what you have now flooded
Yeah,
also.
yes, yes, yes.
So what we did is we took a local rice called the Betkuti Saul, and then we started. One of my green commando, he started giving it to the flats of Guwahati, connecting the farmers were growing it. We trained them on how the green commando in the rural area. He trained them on how to grow it low cost without any resources and everything, and they came up with the product. And now the other green commando is connecting it to the houses. Now the consumer in Guwahati is getting at 35 rupees a kg, which is lower than the hybrid rice in the market, which is around 40 to 45 rupees per kg. So now they're getting 35 rupees kg. The green commando who is sustaining, and these two green commandos are taking 2.5 rupees, 2.5 rupees per kg, and they are getting 30 rupees. Now they are giving 30 rupees to the farmer, which is a very good price for the top farmer. Oh, no, they are giving 28 rupees for the farmer, 2 rupees they are keeping for the transportation and every logistic they have. So 28 rupees per kg for that local rice is a good price because he was not getting that. He was only selling the grains, and they were looking at, okay, we have to go for improved variety like Ranjit and Bahadur, where they have to bring seeds from the universities or buy seeds from the companies. Even Bayer was entering with 6444 rice, a hybrid rice in the area. Now with this 40 household in Guwahati, one whole 2-3 villages of Borhola are now market is not a problem. Sustaining the market is becoming the biggest problem because demand for this local rice, which is very tasty, and in the farmer's point of view, there is no insect pest. It is adaptable to the nature. He can grow in low cost. So that is something where we look at how we take seeds to feeds of our local crop. Second part is how you can make a rice-based cropping pattern or rice-based food forest system, how you develop it. So now near Kaziranga, one of my green commando, we are doing an experiment where we are incorporating other crops also to the rice field. Like we have Ali. Amija Ali Bilavdiu, the paths. These are small paths. Now what we're doing is we are making the paths bigger, and we have started growing local varieties of banana, and also some Assam lemon. If it is an elephant infested area, so we are going for lemon trees which has got thorns so that they make the elephants away from not eating the rice crop. So we are growing with that. This makes into your again multi-story cropping pattern or the food forest I'm talking about. So rice, and above that, in the parts which are now enlarged, we have this banana. Another thing which is happening below the banana, you can so nicely grow the king chilies or the local Krishna jolokia or the Khorika jolokia, all the local chilies. And below that, as live mulch, again you can put Centellia asiatica, Brahmis, the creepers. So they grow it. So even with rice, we can develop this thing. And when you make this, Rajiv, when you make this model, your income, like now the government says double up the farmer's income, and they go for all kind of technology dependent thing like hybrids and all. Even the government has to look at. Now, when Rajiv, you develop this kind of model, you can add up agro-tourism training. Your farm can be a farm learning center like us. What we earn from the food forest is okay. We earn from the trainings also. We earn from the cowshed cafe also. So those services can be added. Like volunteers can come, stay there, they can work with you, and you can charge some minimum money for that. So that is how you can increase the income. So that is what we have to look at. And flood is something which we have to live with because we are living with the river. So we have to develop technologies, how we do it. We have to think about how we develop the rural go downs. Even the policymakers and the researchers has to think about how they develop the storage part so that just after the floods, the positivity is that there is so much of silt deposition and the growth of some crops are so beautiful. So how we take more crops that time and we store it in a very beautiful area. So madam is asking me if lemons can be grown in the flooded for several months. So ma'am, I'm talking about raising the parts and making a platform. We can cut some soil out of the paddy thing and we can make it to a raised platform or a raised bed kind of thing. We're making the part enlarge and doing it there. So we
How deep are the roots of the lemon tree?
Uh, ma'am, lemon trees are deep-rooted crops. So when we make the path, when it is not flooding and when we make it in the rice field, so we follow the double digging system of making the beds raised. So we make it double digging, then we put lots of dry leaves and we put compost, we put biochar and then raise it so that they go deep inside. So
Okay.
that way we do it. And it's becoming successful in the elephant. We have some plots in the Golaghat area where it is becoming successful. We did some small trials and this is becoming successful in the elephant infested area because the thorns keep them away of
Right,
the paddy.
right.
And we do it. Yeah. So
Rajiv, if somebody else is there, please go ahead. So Raj, Samir, that throws a very important question. We are a rice sitting community.
Yeah.
And my cousin runs a grocery shop, and I hardly see any local variety. And as you said, you see everything, Ranjit and India Gate and Bahadur and this and that. What prevents us from not getting into an industrial kind of farming with the local variety, of course, keeping all the nutrients through avoiding hybrid seeds? And how do we develop that market linkage? Because market does seem to be an important point where the farmers kind of break down. The government buys it at 1800 rupees per quintal, and here you are offering 28 rupees, and still we don't have the rice. It is profitable, but we are not able to do it. Why?
Okay. Sanjay, first thing is that local things are not promoted because still local rice seed we have the right to keep. They are not patented by Monsanto and Bayer. When the day will come when they are patented by Monsanto and Bayer, you will see policies will also come to that. But now they will just discard it in the name of the production because our local crops, the productivity is somewhat less than those all genetically engineered crops because they have made it like that. They have engineered it to give more production. They have put so many genes into that about the production. But our local can give you very good rice. So I think when you ask me about how you can industrialize the local thing, there I think I am somewhat that needs and greeds thing comes to me. So you have to be a social entrepreneur. That's why we are promoting social enterprise, where you think like the honeybees, and like the economy of enterprise. where the honeybees go and they extract the pollen and they come back, but they fertilize the flower also. So you have to be a businessman who think about, okay, I create 100 farmers who grow this local variety. And that story of those 100 farmers growing the local variety sells in the market. And that is what the fair trade demands. And that you take it to the market. So I think that is the model way we have to go with this, so that we don't create needs into grids and then don't create again industrialized model based on the local food product. But we can scale it up. Scaling up is something where we look at, okay, how some local rice variety processing unit comes out, how the local rice food products processing unit is started,
Absolutely.
how we talk about our Kumol Saul, which is magic rice, how we talk about our Bora Saul, which is sticky rice, how we talk about processing them, how we make our Bhimkol and our Bora Saul into a baby food, and we take it forward. But these initiatives had to be led by the local entrepreneurs together through enterprise, or people like you clubbing together people who has got a soul. That's why I call my farm for soul camping, right? So we have to look at our soul also. So that is how we have to forward. I cannot think about Patanjali or Baba Ramdev coming and having 1,000 bighas of land and growing all the local rice, because I found some organizations coming now who has taken more than 1,000 bighas of land in Arunachal Pradesh, barren land in Arunachal Pradesh, to produce local rice and making into a brand. So that is their farmers are again workers or laborers. They are not the stakeholders. So we have to think about how we create a model. So that is why I am preparing Green Commandos. We have to combat that also, the greed. So we have to look at how we develop the social enterprise, micro processing units, because if you develop a very big mill in like a village in Nagaland, and you don't get access to power, you don't have a four-phase line there. So your cold storage or processing unit is invalid. So it has to be very small micro processing units, and how you make this into a story, club them together, make a social enterprise, and take it forward to the market. And I think local market is very big now, rather than thinking about how I told you, we could not sustain giving 40 household in Guwahati rice every day. Now we have
Exactly.
to grow, we have to go more bigger, but going bigger doesn't make me, okay, Samir, you become an agripreneur and you have 1,000 bighas of land, you acquire 1,000 bighas of land, and you have a mill and you have a brand. But if I have 100 farmers who are fighting with floods, but in the off season they grow a local variety of whatever crop and they take it to the market, that is a story which everybody wants to support. The fair trade wants to support. So we grow like that, and I think that is the answer for your question. Ki we have to be very systematic in scaling up this, and scaling up is making more local farmers grow it, conserve it, grow it. Nutrition to livelihood. When we go inside the village, we talk about nutrition to local food. Second step, we talk about, okay, now the surplus we are going to process and give it to some household in Guwahati or Jorat or Dibrugarh city. And the third stage, when we have more surplus, then we can think about, okay, now we can go for export. You have seen the, like I talk about this mockery of the green revolution, right? And you look at the other mockeries many people make with us, the farmers. You hear the stories of so many things being exported from Assam. One export, second export, third, there is no news. You go to the farmer, no, I sent one lot, and after that I could not send it. Because market is not the problem, sustaining the market is problem.
That is the
So
problem.
to sustain the market, we have to create more social enterprises of farmer. We have to make more farmers producers company. We have to make more community enterprises led by the women farmers, and the inclusive growth has to be looked at how we make it into a social enterprise.
Thanks, Samir. That's excellent insight. Here is a question from Meenakshi, and she says there is a new trend amongst farmers of looking beyond the local and going for cultivation of fruits and veggies like avocados, dragon fruit, because of this capitalist fight about so-called superfoods. How ideal is this for the local sustainability? I think you did speak about it, but you may like to address it again.
Yeah. Meenakshi, I would like to ask you, what is your favorite fruit? Local fruit. Mangoes. Okay. Now I want to ask you, Meenakshi, what is the time period you remember planting a mango, local mango tree by yourself? When did
Never,
you plant?
never.
Never, right?
That's
Never,
the reality.
never,
Yeah,
right? Right?
yeah, true.
So there is the danger. There is the danger, Meenakshi. There is the danger of all this high-tech food coming to the market, right? So they get the chance when we stop growing our own food. And when we stop asking for our own food also, it's very good question which you have put forward. We have to look at how we grow with our local food wisdom. This dragon
Because
fruit,
sometimes the way media also, portrays these kind of, I mean, there are farmers. I think there was somebody recently somewhere in Gwalpara who has started this whole dragon fruit business, and there was a lot of craze, media craze on that.
yeah,
So I'm,
yeah, I know.
on one hand, there is this absolute people going, crazy about this whole thing, this new trend of farmers starting new crop cultivation. But I'm just looking at the flip side of things, how
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
really affects the local.
there is very well thought, and I'll just give you an example.
Sure.
I was working in Mumbai. I was invited by an organization to speak at Mumbai. When I went there, then I found lots of pomelos, rabab tenga,
Yes, yeah, Robert Tenga.
lots of pomelos are being sold in the beaches.
Okay.
And this pomelos are the best fruit for the Southeast Asian tourists who come and sit in the beach. So they love to eat that.
Yeah.
So I saw that the fruit tour upor bakoli tu. So they have removed the peel and
Right.
they have made into a very good bamboo ring where they put the whole round fruit, and
Okay.
they have made it into a polythene pack-up, and they put the tag of like 250 rupees per piece. So I was very interested, and I went to know where is the value chain, where from it comes. Then I landed up
Comes.
next day in Hypercity Mall. There's a mall in Mumbai,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
when I was sitting with the purchase manager, he told me, "Ki, I know your region has got pomelos, but I'm not going to buy from you because you don't have a pomelo orchard. Just show me a pomelo orchard in Northeast. We buy from Bhutan because they have developed pomelo, they have developed the local fruit orchards, so they will sustain us in the supply. You will collect it from villages taking a vehicle, and after 2-3 supply, I'll be calling you and you'll put your phone on switch off mode.
Okay.
So that is what our researchers never foresighted, that this Garcinia can be something, Thekera, so demanding, making into
Right.
capsules. But now for a farmer like me who wants to grow Garcinia, and I'm growing in my food forest, but it will take 7 to 8 years to fruit. And the market demand is now in the wellness food industry. And we are promoting avocados. We are going to the farmers who have been sown by the government officials, okay, go for cocoa cultivation and do it. Might be this good. See the example of large cardamom being pumped in through the policy in Nagaland and all the hilly states.
Yes.
Last cardamom was okay with Sikkim giving the market size of India. But now pumping into all the hills, making their work easy, purchasing high cost planting material and doing all 60-40 corruption, whatever they did it. And now supplying lakhs of saplings. Now the viral disease, no market, rate is not there. Farmer is the scapegoat. So couldn't we promote something which is very local and which gives our identity? That is what I do. And the danger lies is like with your age, whatever that is, just think about for last 25, 20 years, people of your age has not planted the fruit tree, they love it. So what you do is, if you have a land, you do it. Otherwise, you go to a farmer, make a farmer friend in the village, and help him to grow local mangoes. That is the solution. This is more bigger than the climate change when we don't
Right.
grow our local food. Yeah. Thank you, Meenakshi, for putting
Thank you.
forward
Thank you
this.
so much for the lovely response. Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Sanjay, I have
anybody,
few questions.
please go
I
ahead.
have some questions. So first of all, Samir, বহুত ধন্যবাদ আজি হেৰি কাৰণে টকটোৰ কাৰণে। আমি বামুই মিনামৰ পাহাৰৰ ওপৰত থাকোঁ আৰু ইয়াতে বহুত কচু আছে, একদম উল কচু আছে, lots of কচু। মই কাটি আনো কিন্তু মোৰ বৌয়ে ৰেচিপি নাজানে। So, where can I get recipes for local food? Like like ul kosu ul adha to pelai je ame Assamia bur expert pelani koibla oh ebu waste rather than waste this has lots of value in it. So I wish that there's a book or somewhere where you say that it to value specifically covid or homoy vitamin B lage vitamin C lage vitamin D lage kot pa amar ki hot
মই এটা প্ৰচেষ্টা কৰিছো in our spread any Facebook page. I'm trying to highlight all the nutritional qualities of the local food products. Like Dhekia, for example, Dhekia. It has got the highest protein content next to soybean. But we don't know this, right? So it can be something which is very good product. Kochu, like yams. What I suggest Millennium is like, I'll share you an example. What happened is, in one colony in Guwahati, one of our Green Commando, she started giving a basket of local food products every Friday and Saturday, or like that. One weekday, they used to supply this all local food. And what happened is, this local food, they made a WhatsApp group among themselves. And then we saw the old ladies, they were asking on the WhatsApp group how to cook this. Today we got in the basket something called this, right? And they were sharing the ideas. The old ladies were coming into the picture. So certainly we will not get it in Google. We will get it in the traditional knowledge, wisdom about our food in our grannies and our old grandpas in our villages. So I request Anajori to take up a mission where you can involve people and record those beautiful recipes which move around in our local places. Within organization now, I am starting to document 5 dishes of the Northeast. With the help of one organization, we are doing this. We are making making whole nutritional and the video of how to cook it, how to even. My interest is more than the food, because with that local food, it comes lots of local herbs which are in the recipe. So we can grow them. We can make the seed. So we have a support from an organization based in Austria and an organization based in Jorhat together. So we are documenting 5 very traditional dishes of Northeast. Because of the lockdown, we stuck up. Otherwise, by this time we would have released it, a very good recipe booklet and also a video on the whole journey of the products involved in the whole food which we have. So Milind, another suggestion is like we can develop this in your area also. How you can develop more consumers to have local food, and we can connect it. And by creating a WhatsApp or a social media group, we can record, because Sobor Aita Bilak Amar Mahator Hatot He Bidya Bilak Ase. Sharing is caring. So now this is the time to care each other with good food. So I think we have to share this idea and document. Anajori can take it forward to document and make it into a beautiful video. Yeah.
Anajori is right now me.
Yeah.
And lots of volunteers. But yeah, that's a great thing. I'm getting some kids volunteers, so maybe we'll work on that. That's great. So next question, I have few questions. So next question is, I was going to Dhemaji and went through Tezpur, and they have the best lissi. Man bohiya lissi bu. Kintu he lissi bu Guwahati napa. I mean, only got it in the highway. So how can we get them over here? Because there'll be lots of demand, because WhatsApp on this, so everybody was like, wow, we want those lists.
Yeah.
So why those lists from Tezpur not available in Guwahati?
Yeah, that is again, like we have to more concentrate on how we scale up this growing, like every homestead development. If you look at Dhemaji and Lakhimpur, all the households have got big homestead with all their natural orchards of local fruits. So how we grow this lychee variety more in them, because I told you again, market and sustaining the market, that is the issue. There is a gap of the local, because local products are not promoted. If you look at the KVKs and everything, they will ask you to go for some lychee varieties which is coming from outside. You go grow this variety, you grow that variety. So this is to be grown more. First solution. Second thing is, I think we need a very strong farmers market in the cities. Like we are trying to create in the AU phrase, our Green Commandos market. And that has to be very hygienic, very stylish. And we need some people of the urban area who are interested to give that platform where that lychee grower whom you connect can come here and sell it. So that is something which we have to look at. Another thing is transportation is something where the government has to look in how this transportation and the storage is made more good. I'll just give you again another example. 4 days back, I had a call from a farmer in Karbi Anglong, Difu, one of my farmer. He called me morning, 5:30 in the morning, and he said, Ki, today I'm very much tense, sir, because my pineapples are very good and they are ripening. And I have 3,000 pineapples. Now, for the lockdown, I cannot sell them, I cannot send them anywhere, and they will ripen together. Most of them will ripen together. So what to do? So I'm in a very big distress. So what I did is I put an ad on my Facebook page, and I put it to my friends. So then few of my friends came to rescue. And what happened? Now, listen to the second part of the story. Now what happened is, now one guy, one of my green commando in Jorhat, he connected to the market, and the market wanted the delivery. And they were giving exactly the price what the farmers wanted. Farmers wanted 30 rupees a pair in the food, and they were giving 30 rupees a pair for those beautiful pineapple. And so they were ready to pick it up. Suddenly, when the order was final, this green commando calls me and tells me, sir, motivate the farmer, he is now going down. He says, and then when I call him, sir, this is lockdown, the vehicle will be 5 kilometers there, I have to collect it, I have to bring it, so much a problem, I cannot do this. So what I'm talking about is value addition and capacity building of farmers, how to take it to the market, how to grab the opportunity of taking it to the market is also we have to make them learn. Somehow, again, he is contented, okay, whatever I sell it here. Otherwise, if I sell it also, okay, I'm good with nature. I'm eating good with nature. So I think we have to build more green commandos. My green commandos are social agripreneurs. We have to create more agripreneurs in the villages. And with the reverse migration, now we are getting lots of youths coming back to the village. And they will have a very frustrated movement because they will be facing some skill gaps because they were serving somewhere. And those guys who have come back have got the marketing skills. So I think those local youths has to be made into the marketing people who connects. And in the cities, we need this chain of supermarkets, which are known as the farmers market. I think Madam can tell about Arjina's whole farmers market, how they do it. This is so beautiful marketing system, which we have to bring it here also. Yeah.
Peggy.
Yeah, years ago, there was and there still is, an initiative that has been delivered through Rotary International called Vocational Training Teams. And the idea was to pair up individuals in different regions who could benefit from the knowledge that each other has. And I put together a proposal that went to our district to set up a system where we could actually bring some of the movers and the shakers from our community, like Arzina, and others who are involved in our farmers market system, and others who are involved in seed saving, bring a team of people over to Assam. And this is not because we're the great leaders here in Canada, not at all. But the truth is that when there's somebody from outside the country who's passionate about something, it does attract attention. And so having people come in may bring in people who are from the Agriculture University or from government departments to hear the same message that you're giving, but hearing it from somebody who's from outside the country and who may have been doing it a bit longer, or who has had some financial success, or who has been recognized nationally for their efforts. The other part of the initiative was then to also bring the movers and the shakers from Assam over here, so that you could visit the farmers market, that you could bring the passion that you have for protecting local seed varieties, which we've lost. We don't have anything local anymore. Our people migrated here from other countries. So there are very few indigenous varieties of food plants that are part of the Canadian culture, that are part of Canadian agriculture. So connecting perhaps more with First Nations people, with our tribal population here, being able to stand with them in their efforts to be recognized for the importance of protecting their culture and their foods and the connection that they have with the land. So my dream for many years has been to access the funds that were available through Rotary and do this two-way exchange where we can, this doesn't mean the conversation only happens between, say, 6 people from Canada, 6 people from Assam. People go out into the community so that, you know, people with your passion can speak to communities here. This is a little tricky right now because of the situation that we're facing, but we have universities, you know, in our area. We just recently set up a new program for sustainable agriculture at our college. First time ever, finally. And we've got some incredible examples of farm programs that are engaging, just doing exactly what it is that you're trying to encourage, Samir, engaging younger people in getting involved directly and using the skills of entrepreneurial business development to help them not only do the work of growing the plants, but actually finding the markets and reaching consumers and connecting with the local farmers market. There is so much happening, and I really feel often that the possibility of connecting the East and West, which is Fertile Ground East-West Sustainability Network, it was designed to try and strengthen and pull us together. So I haven't given up on my ideas, and actually in the last 5 years, 3 years, I would say Rotary at the international level is really starting to value, for the first time, agriculture. It's starting to come up on their radar screen as not being something that, oh, it's just a group of farmers. They recognize food security, environmental sustainability, job creation is essential. So this is just something that I'll put out in the conversation this morning to let you know I'm still interested in that. Our district is very interested in the work that Fertile Ground has been able to do in Assam. And they're concerned about, you know, there's been efforts made to support Mohan Bora's efforts to get a seed saving system in place and to develop that, have proper storage. The situation right now is making it difficult for people to move ahead, but there is support here. I had Milind, Milind, you can also perhaps talk about the fact that, you know, there are groups out there who are interested in supporting these efforts as well. But I would like to see this happen at some point, and maybe that's partly where the video story can come into, that we got these people all together and we can tell our stories as a network of people who are committed to bringing change to our agriculture.
Thanks, Peggy. Samir, this is the last question probably we'll take, keeping the time. We already exceeded, so it was inspiring. It was good. Sumita is asking, can we get any help from the local KVKs regarding growing local varieties and promoting the vocal for local concept? Simple answer, probably.
Sumita, now with the Prime Minister talking about vocal for local, I think you can get from the KVKs. Now they will be working on that, but I don't know how much of research they have on how to grow, or the package of practice they have of the local crops. What I suggest you are, I saw you were an agricultural student, so I suggest you go to the raw farmers in the villages, learn from them about the local food technology, and learn practically from them, and get all the seed and all they have. Try to develop a social enterprise where you can be the social entrepreneur who lead it. Go learn from them. Put your scientific knowledge, whatever you have, just blend it together, make a beautiful model, and learn more from the farmers, because there is no too much of learning in the books which are written so in earlier days, and the whole climate has changed, and now the whole package of practice has to be taught about whether it is same which is being used for so many years. So yeah, I'm not sure about whether the KVKs have something about the local crops, and I find that now it will be possible, but earlier it was like our local researchers wanting to take something local for research also, people were not allowing, because that allows you to grow your independence. Keeping my seed as a farmer is my independence, I told you. And many people don't want that I have to be independent. So I think you should learn more from the local farmers in the village and the traditional knowledge wisdom.
Sanjay, before you end it, I have two questions. All right.
Okay.
First question is that now after COVID, how because it seems in between government was allowing all the cheap farming tools rather than local tools. They were providing all the cheap tools which were getting uh, dysfunctional within a year or two. And now, is there any change? Do you think there will be change after COVID, or hopefully the government will close the Chinese market for agriculture too? So do you see what is, that is my first question. And second question is, could you please provide the information about your classes? Because I personally am interested, and there are people in Facebook, they are asking more details about the classes, because you have inspired many people, and many people wanted to join your classes.
Okay. Thank you, Millet. Millet, first question. Yeah, I think there will be a paradigm shift in the mindset of people looking towards food. And even the policymakers are thinking now how now the sustainability is coming in, like the small virus has made the whole economy of the world to think about what sustainability actually means. And actual sustainability is the economy of permanence. That is not a parasitic economy which we were following. The economy which we were talking about sustainable, but we were following an economy of parasitism, where we were only extracting from nature. Now people are thinking about how economy of permanence comes. So they are concerned about, I think, with the close of the Chinese products, yeah, the tractors, power tillers, or whatever tools you are talking about. So they will be more improved ones, and it will be a positive move. And I think now there will be a shift in the whole food production system also, because already climate is a factor. People are talking about climate smart agriculture. Another thing is like water budgeting has become so important with the crops, because water has become so important. Now the health has become so important of people. So now healthy healing food will come. The wellness food industry, medicinal plants, they will come. They will think about. So I'm positive that there should be that change in the mindset of the policymakers, looking at how they give the best thing to the farmers when they support them, and also the best technology from seeds to the fields, which they can sustain. See, every government officer has to realize, or every policymakers has to realize, they always, after giving up a scheme, they put their head on key why this is not replicated. Their bosses will come and they will fire them. The department head will come and fire. Why it is not replicated? It's not replicated because you are giving such a high cost technology which the farmers at their own cannot replicate. So give them something which is very zero budget, which is based on your ecological farming practices or the nature, and give them something which they are fond of growing their own 25 kg local pig of Meghalaya, not a very big Hampshire which is coming from outside, and they have to change their whole work culture. So I think looking at the technology also, now people will adapt and do it. Regarding my training programs, yeah, the Green Commando training program, which we do practical, will be starting when the situation is normal. www.facebook.com/spreadane, SPREADNE. Spreadane is the link to our page. We advertise there, and now we have been advertising from day before yesterday for the 3 days online training program on how to create a immuno garden. We call it immunity building garden with the local food crops. So we are doing a 3 days program which is online. The last batch was very successful. I started the first when I was thinking, okay, so much of long webinars where we give lectures, we talk about, but something online, how we can make them practical. So we did this demonstration. Our Green Commandos demonstrate from their farms about the techniques, how to make a zero budget, zero tillage bed, how to make biochar, how to make vermicompost, compost, how to plant a tree, how to make a rooftop garden. So our green commanders from different places will go live on demonstrating. And at the end of the session, every day we give them some small, like make a compost tea, mix these things and show us the picture tomorrow, show us the video tomorrow. So it was so successful, like our emails were flooded, they were sending pictures, they were getting involved. And most importantly, the plants in their home were getting something called care. And you are also out of the computer and you are giving some time to the nature. Many people involve their kids. Kids are into a high nature deficit syndrome now in those days. Already they're in concreted wall. And now these days it is like high, and you need so much of local food because the online classes from morning till evening, the kids are with the mobile phones or with the computer. So you need the red color, puroi hakopa loipla ite morisa hakoleke, all the local herbs, the colored vegetables, local, the small cherry tomatoes you need in your rooftop, you need in your garden for your kids' eyes. You have to think about that, about his brain. So we have to grow it. So we are doing this. It is from 23rd to 25th. There is a login site given where you can click and you can log in. We are not giving it free because we are a self-sustaining model. So we charge 300 rupees for 3 days. And that is also a filter for those people who wants to actually put their hands on dirt. So that's how you can join.
মই এটা কথা জানিব বিচাৰিছো।
হয়।
নমস্কাৰ, মই ৰাজীৱ দত্ত তিতাবৰ।
হয়।
মোক সঞ্জয়জীয়ে দিছিলে কালি লিংকটো, মই আজি আপোনাৰ ইয়াত ভাল লাগিলে আপোনাৰ কথাখিনি জানিব পাৰি। আৰু মই এটা কথা জানিব বিচাৰিছো, লকডাউন ধৰক যিটো অৱস্থা হৈছে তাতে মই ধৰক অলপ অৰ্গেনিক খেতি কৰিব বিচাৰিছিলো। আৰু বৰষুণ বেছি হোৱাৰ কাৰণে এটা প্ৰব্লেম হৈছে যে বৰষুণত মৰি গৈছে, বৰষুণত কৰিব নোৱাৰি। তাৰ আমি সেইটো এটা আপুনি সলিউশন যে বৰষুণত আমি কেনেদৰে কৰিম। আৰু দ্বিতীয়তে মই অলপ প্লাষ্টিক টাব আনি আৰু প্লাষ্টিক তেনেকুৱা ফল মূলৰ বাকচবিলাক আনি মই অলপ ভেন্দি বেগেনা দিছিলো। কিন্তু কথাটো হ'ল মই অৰ্গেনিক কৰিব বিচাৰিছো আৰু আমাৰ মিউনিচিপালিটি বোৰ্ডৰ যিটো আমাৰ সঞ্জয়জীৰ তত্বাৱধানত আমাৰ এটা হৈছিলে যে কেঁচা জাবৰৰ পৰা আমি সাৰ প্ৰস্তুত কৰিছিলো, জৈৱিক সাৰ। আৰু সেইখিনি মই প্ৰয়োগ কৰিছো। সেইখিনি প্ৰয়োগ কৰোঁতে মই তাৰ ফলটো বহুত ভাল পাইছো, গোবৰতকে ভাল ফল পাইছো। কিন্তু সাৰটো জৈৱিক দিলো, কিন্তু দেখিছো গছবিলাকত পোক লাগিছে, পাতটো মৰহি গৈছে, হেৰি হৈ গৈছে, ধৰক বেয়া হৈ গৈছে। কিন্তু তাত এতিয়া মই অৰ্গেনিক মানে যদি মই ৰাসায়নিক সাৰ দিওঁ কিন্তু অৰ্গেনিক হৈ নাথাকিব। মই সেইখিনিক আঁতৰাবৰ কাৰণে, পোকখিনি মাৰিবৰ কাৰণে কি ব্যৱহাৰ কৰিম? আৰু দ্বিতীয়তে বিলাহী খেতি ধৰক এতিয়া বাৰিষাত কৰিব নোৱাৰি। মই বিলাহী গুটি পচাইছো, কিন্তু বাৰিষাত কেনেদৰে আমি কৰিব পাৰিম? 12 মাহে যদি বিলাহী কৰিব লাগে কেনেকে কৰিব পাৰিম? আৰু ধৰক তাৰ কাৰণে ধৰক আমি বিলাহীটো যথেষ্ট পোক লাগে, তাৰ কাৰণে আমি যদি জৈৱিকভাৱে কৰিব পাৰো তেতিয়া দৰৱ কি আমি ব্যৱহাৰ কৰিব লাগিব? যদি
প্ৰথমতে মই আপোনাক ধন্যবাদ জনাইছো যে আপুনি নিজে খেতি কৰিছে। মোক আপোনাক জইন কৰোতে কৈছে আপুনি মিউনিচিপালিটিৰ লগত জড়িত। তিতাবৰৰ প্ৰথম SLRM চেণ্টাৰটো ডেভেলপ কৰিব যাওঁতে ময়ো গৈছিলো ইনাগুৰেট। মোৰ সেই শ্ৰীনিবাসনৰ লগত মিউনিচিপালিটি জড়িতৰ লগত এটা আমি কৰিছিলো। গাঁওখনৰ নাম পাহৰিলো মই, এই MP ভিলেজখন আছিলে যে। এইটো আপোনাৰ আজি 4-5 বছৰ আগতে এটা ষ্টেপ লৈছিলে, য'ত মানে আপোনাৰ সেই সলিড লিকুইড ৰিসোৰ্স মেনেজমেন্ট চেণ্টাৰটো বনোৱা হৈছিলে আমাৰ এই আপোনাৰ MP যিখন মডেল ভিলেজ
আপোনাৰ কচুঘাট পঞ্চায়ত,
শ্যামগাঁৱত
হয় হয়, আপুনি আহিছিলে,
মই তাত গৈছিলো তেতিয়া। তো মানে এতিয়া হ'ল কি আপুনি যিটো প্ৰশ্ন কৰিছে, প্ৰথমটো হ'ল যে আপুনি এতিয়া বৰষুণত কেনেকে খেতি কৰিব আৰু বৰষুণত আপোনাৰ যিখিনি পোক পতংগ আছে কেনেকে আপুনি নিৰাময় পাব, এইটো এটাটো মানে ডাঙৰ কোৱেশ্চন।
ৰাসায়নিক দৰৱ ব্যৱহাৰ নকৰাকে
সেইটো কাৰণে মই আপোনাক প্ৰথমটো সাজেষ্ট কৰিম যে আপুনি আমাৰ 3 দিনীয়া যদি পাৰে যিটো অনলাইন ট্ৰেইনিং প্ৰগ্ৰাম আছে সেইটো যদি জইন কৰে, আমি সেইখিনিৰ ওপৰত ডিপেন্ড মানে গোটেইখিনি দেখাম। এতিয়া মই আপোনাক এনে থুলমূলকে কৈ থৈছো। প্ৰথমটো হ'ল যে মাটিটো মূল কথা। আমি যদি মাটি যিটো সয়েল মিক্সচাৰটো যেনেকে আপুনি কম্পোষ্ট বনাইছে, ভাৰ্মি কম্পোষ্ট বনাইছে, তেনেকে বাঁহৰ যিটো ছাই, বাঁহৰ এটা ৱে আছে কেনেকে বনাব লাগে। বাঁহৰ পৰা আমি বায়োচাৰ ফাৰ্টিলাইজাৰ বনাব পাৰো, বনাই পেলাই আমি সেইখিনি মিক্স কৰি দি পেলাই গ্ৰ' হ'ব। ওখ ভেটি, মই যিটো 0 বাজেট টিলেজ কৈছো, মই যেতিয়া বেডছ বিলাক ফটো দেখাইছিলো, তাত যদি বেড বিলাক দেখিছে বাঁহ দি পেলাই আমি ওখ ওখ ভেটি কৰিছো তো যাতে পানীটো আমি মানে খেতিটো কৰিব পাৰো তো তেনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ এতিয়া মই চিনামৰা ওচৰতে আমি মূলা আপোনাৰ গাটানি যিখন ফাৰ্ম আছে এমডিজ অৰ্গেনিক তাত মোৰ টেকনলজি দি পেলাই আমি 300 মেট্ৰিক টন কেঁচু সাৰ বনাও পাৰি আৰু প্লাছ তাত আপুনি যদি চাই আমি কনক্ৰিটেড কিছুমান ৰেইজ বেড বনাইছো যিটো বাঁহেদি বনাব পাৰে এতিয়াও ফ্লাড হৈ থাকিলেও তাত কিন্তু মাজত আপুনি আমি খেতি কৰি থাকো আৰু ওপৰত আপুনি যেনেকৈ কৈছে আল্ট্ৰাভায়োলেট ফিল্ম ইউজ কৰিছে যদি বৰষুণ বেছি হয় তাত আমি ফিল্ম ইউজ কৰিব পাৰো কিন্তু মই যিটো ফুড ফৰেষ্টৰ কনচেপ্ট কৈছো আপোনাৰ বাৰীখন আগৰ দিনৰ নিচিনাকে যদি এটা হাবি ওপৰত ধৰি লওক আম গছ আছে মাজত আকৌ কলগছ আছে নেমু গছ আছে তাৰ তলত আকৌ আমাৰ চাহ জাতীয় আমাৰ কৃষ্ণ জলকীয়া খৰিকা জলকীয়া লাই পাত এনেকুৱা আমাৰ লোকেল ক্ৰপ বিলাক আছে তেতিয়া অট'মেটিক এটা আমাৰ মানে ৰেইনৰ পৰাও আমি পাই থাকো যেনেকে কলগছৰ পাতটোৱে বহুত পানী সেভ কৰি দিয়ে তাৰ তলতে আকৌ ভোট জলকীয়া পানীজনীক যিমান লাগে সিমানটো হৈ যায় আৰু সেই কলগছজোপাটো মই ভগৱানে দিয়া ড্ৰিপ ইৰিগেশ্যন চিষ্টেম বুলিয়ে ভাবো তাত ইমান পানী থাকি যায় যেতিয়া খৰাং অৱস্থাত আকৌ সি পানী দি পেলাই আকৌ সেই গছ কেইজোপাক বচাই থাকে চ' এই নেচাৰেল চিষ্টেমটো এতিয়া পোক পতংগ নিৰাময় কৰিবলৈ আপোনাক মই এটা সৰু উপায় দিছো আজি এতিয়া আপুনি বাৰীতে থকা ছাগলী গৰুৱে নেখোৱা 5 বিধ পাত ল'ব কেইটামান নাম ক'ব পাৰিব নেকি বাৰু মানে ছাগলী গৰুৱে নেখোৱা যেনেকে বিলঙনি পাত
মানে বিলঙনি সোণাৰু
তেনেকুৱা
দৰুণ
তেনেকুৱা 5 বিধ কলা চাদাটো আকৌ কি হয় কলা চাদাটো কি হয় আকৌ কলা চাদাটোৰ কিছুমান ইমান কেমিকেল আকৌ পিছত খাদ্যত আহি যায় তাতকে আমি নেচাৰেল বিলাক চাম মানে টবেকোটো আপোনাৰ তাৰ যিবিলাক সেইটো বহুতে অৰ্গেনিকত ইউজ কৰে কিন্তু তাৰ পৰা আকৌ কিছুমান বিক্ৰিয়া আহি যায় খাদ্যটোত তাতকে আমাক এৰা গছৰ পাত দিছে ভগৱানে চতিয়া গছৰ পাত দিছে আমাক বিলঙনি দিছে আমাক জাৰ্মানী বন দিছে গোন্ধোৱা বন দিছে তো এই এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ 5 বিধ পাত আপুনি আধা কেজি সৰু সৰুকে কুটি ল'ব আৰু কুটি লৈ পেলাই তাক আপুনি পানীত বইল কৰিব 5 লিটাৰ পানীত বইল কৰিব বইল কৰি পেলাই পানীটো যেতিয়া আধা হৈ যাব 2.5 লিটাৰ হৈ যাব তেতিয়া ঠাণ্ডা কৰি পেলাই তাক আপুনি সেকি ল'ব কাপোৰ এখনে সেকি লৈ পেলাই যদি স্প্ৰে মেচিন আছে আপুনি স্প্ৰে কৰি দিব নহলে ছটিয়াই দিব তো মানে প্ৰকৃতিৰ মাজতে সমাধানটো আছে আমি এতিয়া সেইটো তেনেকে চাব লাগিব তো সেই তেনেকে ধৰণে এতিয়া আপুনি বিলাহী ক্ষেত্ৰত কৈছে বিলাহী খেতি কৰিবলৈ হয়তো আপোনাক বৰষুণত সেই প্লাষ্টিকৰ UV ফিল্মখন লাগিব আৰু মই কোৱা নিচিনা ওখ ভেটিটো কৰি ল'ব পাৰে লগতে আপুনি এতিয়া ব্লাইট হোৱাৰ কাৰণে কেঁচা হালধি ফুটছাই আপোনাৰ গৰুৰ পেচাব আমাৰ যিটো গৰু মুত কলি গাই যিটো পেচাব কলি গাই পেচাব সেইখিনি লৈ পেলাই বহুত ধৰণৰ ফৰ্মুলা আছে যিবিলাক মই আপোনাক সেইকাৰণে সাজেষ্ট কৰিম যে আপুনি যদি মোৰ 3 দিনীয়া ট্ৰেইনিং প্ৰগ্ৰামটো অনলাইন জইন কৰে তেতিয়া আৰু ভালকে বা আপুনি যদি সময় নাই আপোনাৰ ঘৰৰ কোনোবা যদি পঢ়া-শুনা কৰা পঢ়ি থকা ল'ৰা ছোৱালী ষ্টুডেণ্টটো এনে ঘৰত বহি আছে তেওঁলোকক জইন কৰিব দিয়ক তাহাঁতে শিকি ল'ব পাৰে
Hello, Rajiv.
Yeah.
Thank you, Samir. This has been an exciting 2 hours with us. We generally plan it for 1 hour, but it has gone and gone. So it just simply goes on to say that how interesting the topic was and how people thought of meeting you. Because we are also going live on the Facebook. I'm quite sure there are quite many participants over there. We would love to see you again. And thanks for your time. Thank you, audience, for being with us for the entire 2 hours time. 1 hour, when did the 1 hour passed into 2 hours, we didn't even realize it. And please join the online trainings that Samir is giving. And both Sumedha and Peggy has given us the link in the chat box. So you can copy it to that. And we look forward to see you. And we look forward to be again on the Anajari platform. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Peggy. And thank you, Rajiv.
I'd like to thank Milind, Sanjay, Peggy madam for being here and the whole Anajari team for giving this platform to reach out what we are doing it from heart. So now we have to put our heart as a farmer and we have to think about how we grow Northeast into a beautiful place where we can bring people and take them rest in the lap of nature with good air and good food. Thank you very much.
This platform is all about Northeast.
Thank you.
Thank you.